Bonjour and hello everyone for our second episode in a series that...
Sorry, doing my hair again. I want to be like you!
That's it! It was magic!
She's my inspiration! What can I do?
My thing for today! Bonjour, hello everyone for our second episode dedicated to art and fashion, winter edition. And today we are with beautiful Parisian book writer and art historian Leah.
And beautiful founder of ParisianVibe, Viktoria.
Thank you for coming again.
Thank you for inviting me.
Today we are talking about 7 pieces of art and objects which we have chosen together to demonstrate 7 outfits we will see later on. We will show you how exactly we went from art to a specific outfit, colors, shapes, forms, and fabrics, even history, so evolution of design and lifestyle. Are you ready? It's a selection from contemporary artists.
Yes, it's a piece by a painter that I really like, who is called Aliya Abs. And this is, to me, the way I would like to spend my whole winter.
At home.
This is a portrait, but a portrait without a face. So it's a portrait of anybody who wants to embody it, like it's a portrait of anonymous.
When I look at this painting, I love the kind of tartan, classical pattern with some colors. That's what I see when I look at that.
Yeah, and also the color palette, which is very soft and poetic. And I love the title of the painting. I think it's really, really well thought by the artist. It's called Silent Reflection. So it really says it all. I think the title says it all in this piece. Silent Reflection.
And for silent reflection in winter, you need something really, really cozy and warm.
Exactly.
One of our favorite outfits from today's selection, so cozy, warm and wearable. We fell in love with this patterned sweater and the subtle yet colorful design of this oversized knit, paired with a classic shearling aviator jacket that never goes out of style.
Getting cold in here.
Yeah, it's cold.
So take off your clothes. So let's start.
So the first sculpture is by artist Jean-Baptiste Théodon.
And it's called Winter.
It's called Winter.
So can you talk to us about why do we have a sculpture and how can a sculpture represent winter?
Well, actually, what we first need to learn with that piece is that he does not stand here alone. He stands alongside with Autumn, a beautiful man with a great Summer, who is a mother, a corn of abundance in her hand, which would represent fertility and growth, and Spring, who is a young woman with a pamper on her head.
And we already spoke a bit about that in our part 1, in our
Exactly.
first episode.
So as we have seen in our first episode of Art and Fashion, we can have allegories representing the seasons. And here we have a very typical classical allegory because it's the allegory of winter as a very old man, because of course winter is the very last time of the year. And it's the time of decay and things falling down. Death is coming, in a way. So it's represented with an old man, all curled up in a shawl, and he's shivering. And yeah, so that's winter.
So it's a reminder that you definitely need to cover up in winter while Paris is quite cold. Yeah, that's true. Okay. So, and you like that statue, why?
I like the fact that there is actually a second piece, practically the same, who stands in the gardens of Versailles. So the sculpture did two. One is at the Louvre, and the second one is at the Garden of Versailles. So when I pass in front of him, I imagine him lost in the whole huge gardens of Versailles, and I'm imagining like snow on himself and frozen.
You imagine a total solitary drama,
Melancholic, lost.
mood.
Yeah, lost in winter character who like embodies winter. And when we first talk about this episode and you ask me about a piece that would like represent winter, for me this old man stuck to mind like in a second.
So that kind of sets the mood, gives us straight away the drama, or gets us straight away into the drama and the cold and the melancholy.
This outfit is full of drama, perfectly matching the dramatic mood of the art it represents. Not surprisingly, an all-black ensemble that oozes a never-ending silhouette. A cape coat with an incorporated scarf made from the same material is paired with a long wool skirt, continuing the conversation of a look that envelopes you.
It's not always going to be that dramatic and that sad.
Are you talking about the last piece of art that we're going to show them?
The other sculpture?
They have the sculpture. Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to keep it for later.
Yeah.
Next one is probably one of my favorite ones, but you might also say that it's an expected one.
It's an expected one.
It's an expected
It's
one.
a very famous one.
Yeah. This is a piece of art and it just gives me that feeling which translates straight into fashion. I just had a vision straight away in my head. So let's talk about...
The Magpie by Claude Monet. I kind of felt that it was mandatory when we talk about art in the winter, and it's kind of everywhere when it's the cold season in France. That's why I included it to the selection. It's also great illustration about Impressionism and the beginnings, the early stages of Impressionism. The year is 1868. Claude Monet, Alfred Sisley, Camille Pissarro, Gustave Caillebotte, all those painters are very, very fond of studying effet de neige, is what we call it in France. So it's like snow effects, because it gathers everything that they're searching for in painting. So it's like a study by Claude Monet.
And what are they trying to find in the snow?
First of all, Claude Monet painted 140 pieces of snow effects. So it's kind of a lot. This one is the biggest one, so this is why maybe it's the most famous one. Then because the Musée d'Orsay used to be a railway station. Yeah, so at this period, they were creating a lot of railway stations in Paris, so the painters could actually move and see what was outside of Paris, and it was easier for them. And we also had invented the tube de peinture, the painting tube, because aluminium came to existence.
Available.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Impressionist painters, they could take their easel, take the tube de peinture, go on the train, and this is why he painted so many snow effects.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And I think it's this effect or this feeling of something being super, super fluffy.
Super fluffy.
Super fluffy.
It's like very doudoune.
And in winter, you just want to feel kind of cozy and fluffy. This feeling of, a fireplace next to you and coziness. So wearing something fluffy and white just lifts your mood.
Yeah.
So straight away when I saw the painting, I just thought, okay, it's definitely an outfit or this white fluffy feeling that you just want to carry with you. And also when you see snow, it's very uplifting to see snow.
A typically French outfit, something carrying a story or years that have passed and brought back to life with modern elements. In this case, this extra warm and soft coat, a treasure found at the French flea market, ideally blending with the artwork and the exploration of the various shades of snow by Impressionists, ranging anywhere from white to beige to blue.
The next piece is not that uplifting. Uplifting, sorry.
The next piece is not very uplifting.
That's really
The
hard.
next is your next selection, you mean?
The next piece in the next selection is not very uplifting. Okay, let's
Uplifting.
Uplifting.
Uplifting. What's the next choice?
The next choice is Gustave Caillebotte's View of the Rooftops.
And that's why I said that's not a true representation of Paris, right? I said, yeah, I didn't see snow in Paris in such a long time until the snow came to Paris, and it was the biggest amount of snow.
So what happened is that we were both at the cafe and she said, okay, what painting is typical of Parisian winter for you? And I said, okay, this one. And she said, what? No, it never snows in Paris. I said, of course it does. And we asked the waiter there and he said, no, it never does.
And
the next day it was like...
So here you go. This is a piece of art which literally shows you Paris in the snow.
This is another typical Impressionist painting. And actually those buildings that we see, they were created by the Baron Haussmann. This is why we call it an Haussmannian building. And this happened in the middle of the century. So here, Gustave Caillebotte is showing us modernity. They are like brand new buildings. It's now the signature of Paris, like the zinc roofs with like the little clay chimneys. But at the time, it was novelty, you know? And the preoccupations of the Impressionists is showing the atmosphere with the snow effect and showing modernity into painting. So we have both here.
And we all love Parisian rooftops.
And we do. But here in this painting, he shows us the gloomy side of his own impression. So everything is gray. The skyline, the horizon line is very high, so the sky is very small. So it gives us a sense of oppression in the painting.
So do you think that our choice of the outfit should be more depressing?
Not necessarily depressing, but maybe more interior centered, you know. Elegant Parisian style, very neat, very pure. Maybe like an elegant coat, elegant boots, very long, you know. When you see the Parisian rooftops, also because the city is very gray and the painting is gray, so it's more like the Parisian.
I love how she just said that Paris is gray, because for me, Paris is beige.
Paris is not beige.
So this is where we have a difference of opinions as well.
A typical day in Paris, when we meet with Leah to discuss art, books, and fashion, often over a coffee with a Madeleine. On a cold day, you can spot some of our wardrobe staples, often neutral colors, though it always depends on the mood. An enveloping longer coat for extra layering, favorite jeans, and rarely without sunglasses, as nobody cancelled coffee on a Parisian terrace because of the cold weather.
Okay, very well. I'm kind of done with the Parisian depression and I just want to have some fun.
Yeah. Notice she has a little croissant over here. It's a pin.
If you didn't notice. So it's an ode to Paris, you know. Leah, I want to have some fun.
Okay, let's have fun.
Okay, so here's our selection of an American photographer, Slim Aaron. I know that you have mixed opinions about him and his work, which is normal and typical. We're discussing art, so you are supposed to interpret it in your own way or have your own opinion about this or that piece of art. So we wanted to add some of his work because to me, it's a bit extreme, and those things don't necessarily exist in real life, or maybe they do, but at least now, and I think especially in winter, in the season where it can get a bit depressing, I think it's kind of fun to see things that you don't normally see, like the waiters with bottles of champagne on the slopes, and get into his head of how he saw this affluent and rich society having fun, whether it's winter or summer, but in our case, it's... It was fun to look at all of those colors and the outfits, and there is no practicality, you know, there are wearing things that you don't necessarily expect people to wear in winter.
I really agree with you. If this is meant to be a fun piece, then it's fun. But what I was just saying when you suggested that piece is that for me, it needs to be taken with the second degré. How do you say that in English? Like
Well, you can say a second degree.
Second degree is like you're supposed
a pinch
to...
of salt.
Yeah, because it's a funny image and we think it's funny. But what I was saying is that I don't think this photographer he's aware of his sense of humor. He's doing it very first degré. And this is what has been disturbing me just a little bit, is that he's showing only pictures of the wealthy, glamorous people from Hollywood. And he says he has become one of them. That's his own words. He says, I've become one of them and they trust me because they know that I'm part of their world. And for me, I'm just wondering if that doesn't seem a little shallow or maybe superficial. Because, you know, like when you have people on slopes bringing you champagne, it needs to be very, very, very second degré. Otherwise, it's lacking a bit of criticism.
Well, we did see some people trying to do that. I'm not sure how successful or how many takes it took to actually bring the champagne. You know, you have to be a very, very skilled skier to be able to do that. I do see your point vis-a-vis stepping back and observing and reflecting, and it's arguable. And what's the interpretation? But I just wanted to have some fun in winter.
Blending art and fashion in a real-life setting, inspired by the not always realistic scenarios of slim errands. We enjoyed putting together an outfit that brought our muse and ballerina to the streets of Paris. Fashion has long been inspired by the graceful world of ballet.
We're having fun.
We're having fun. Okay.
Borrowing many of its elements. This outfit features ballet flats paired with everyday jeans, while incorporating some color and a very oversized bow to bring out the slim Aaron's character in an act of dance.
Helen McNicoll.
Yes.
A Canadian Impressionist who loved painting rural landscapes, depicting women and children in her paintings. I mean, what do you think about this art piece?
That's probably the one I would have home if I was a collector. From all of our selection. Yeah, I would love it. I love it. I think it's very moving somehow, and that's the main thing I'm looking in art. So yeah, it talks to me.
How is it talking to you? I mean, this one in particular. I'm interested.
Because
what does it say?
Because it really catches the ephemeral of the moment, the here and now, with like those very rapid brushstrokes. Yeah, and those characters seem to be very intimate, and yet they're anonymous. And I don't know, it moved me.
Well, for us, it was really interesting. I absolutely loved interpreting this into fashion because I just loved how there's a pinch, just a little bit of color. And I also loved the colors in it. And there's not too much. For me, it's very Parisian. Yeah.
So it's the one with like the pink cap?
Now it's the one where we are taking a silk scarf. And I think
I love that silk scarf.
Winter is the season of scarves.
Yeah.
So we have chosen a beautiful small silk scarf in the same color palette. And I think it's very Parisian to kind of roll it and have a scarf on your neck during the season especially. So that's what spoke to me, you know, this painting, thinking about the Parisians using or loving their scarves in winter. And it also feels very elegant. So, and also this painting is not too much, you know, it's like the little elements.
Yeah, exactly. Not too much. Maybe that's why I like it.
La Parisienne, ever so mysterious and never giving away much, wears a winter outfit full of reflection, never obvious to the naked eye. Like a painting, it invites you to look closer at the scattered details and subtle colors, which are there to complement rather than overpower. A silk scarf adds protection and a chic touch to the ensemble, because in her world, practicality should never compromise style. Paired with a slightly oversized coat in the finest material and with a perfect fit, these are the elements that define French timeless fashion.
Is like with a very big economy of means, she manages to provoke such feeling. Maybe I think it's very well réalisé, executed, but in a way it's also a bit humble, and maybe it's why I like it.
Yeah, it's reserved.
Reserved.
Reserved, like a Parisian. Reserved. The last piece of art is
the allegory of winter would drastically change, and here it is. It's not an old man anymore.
So what is it?
So this is a very young woman who is all naked and covering herself with a light shawl that she puts on her head and shoulders. And she's obviously shivering and half frozen. And maybe she feels a bit more than that because she's like bent like this. So maybe she's suffering from something that we have yet to find out. Look, it's a vulnerable young woman covering her with like almost nothing, and we can see her fully naked.
It's a scandal, no?
It's a total scandal.
So what just happened? Could you describe this to us?
So what happened is that when the public have seen this piece, they were shocked. And they were not shocked because she's naked, because they have seen before a lot of sculptors being naked, but this is something different. It's different because she's not a goddess. She's just this trivial young woman who is obviously very fragile and very real. She seems real to the people of the time. She's not depicted being like in her beautiful self like Venus. She's not Venus. She's just this poor person who's trying to cover herself with this shawl, but that's also a shock, because if you're cold, why would you cover your head? You would cover your body. The problem with this culture, the huge shock is this: a broken vase at the 18th century, it actually means that this young woman has just lost her virginity. It's a symbol for her lost virginity, and maybe this is why she's bending like that, is because she feels a bit ashamed of it.
This piece of art inspired us to focus on the overall silhouette and highlight the female body by dressing in a bodycon elongated coat with more visual accents on the top of the outfit, covering the head and shoulders to pay tribute to the statue's original presentation. Somehow very nostalgic and poetically sad.
Okay. Well, that's a good summary of our winter selection.
Thank you.
No?
Thank you all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we
So
saying
next
goodbye?
one is spring.
Sorry, I said goodbye.
Julia.
Thank you.
For
Thank
this
you.
Winter conversation, and we can't wait to get Leah again, to welcome Leah again for our spring.
Yeah, and don't hesitate if you have paintings or sculptures or pieces that make you think of spring, and we could talk about them.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. What? That's it?
You said we're gonna go rather quicker about it.
But I wanted to talk about Caillebotte's depression.
No.
Okay.
Cut.